So this weekend, Bo Nickal will be taking on Reinier at UFC Fight Night, Corey Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my prediction on how this fight will go down. So going into it, Bo Nickal has a lot of hype surrounding him because of his wrestling accolades. You know, he was an NCAA champion. He also was an All-American. So he has really captured the wrestling fan base, kind of like the same way DC has, but not in as significant as a way because he hasn't proved anything just yet. He will be taking on Reinier, the double champion in ONE FC. And if you ask me, I'm feeling a fraud check coming. I'm feeling like Reinier is going to be able to dismantle Bo Nickal. And if you look back at Bo Nickal's record, he hasn't really done much to write home about. I mean, in his last two bouts, they were kind of lackluster, if we're being honest. One against Paul Craig, he wasn't able to put it on Paul Craig. I feel like if you're able to outclass Paul Craig, that really tells where you are at in the division, and he wasn't able to do that. He also struggled a little bit against Cody Brundage, ultimately finding the submission, but definitely wasn't anything to write home about. Like I said, he's going up against Reinier, kind of like the second coming of Dricus du Plessis. He has such an awkward style. He just reminds me so much of Dricus. But Ritter, on the other hand, has honestly impressed me on where he's at in the middleweight division. I thought coming from one, he isn't gonna do as well in the UFC, but from what he's shown so far, he was able to submit GM3 in an all-out 3-round war, and then he was able to submit Kevin Holland in the first round, something that only Khamzat Chimaev was able to do to him. I mean, as well as Roman Dolidze, but I mean, I feel like you can't really count that too much because he did have a rib injury and he wasn't able to fight through it. But going into this fight, I feel like the experience is going to be a real disadvantage for Bo Nickal. You know, this is his only 8th pro MMA bout, and that's really on him because he decided to go to the UFC for his professional debut, starting his professional career. But on the other hand, Ritter has 30 plus professional fights. I'm saying this based off of Bo Nickal's last fight. You can really see the inexperience he showed in that fight. He looked a little bit gun shy. He was popping a great jab. He was keeping distance, but he wasn't really trying to engage with Paul Craig. And I feel like the exact opposite is going to happen in this fight because Ritter is constantly moving forward. He's going to constantly keep you on the back foot, and we've never seen that against Bo Nickal. We've never seen Bo Nickal get pushed back, and as you know, it's harder to wrestle on the back foot. And although Bo Nickal has the better wrestling, he's the better athlete overall, college wrestling does not translate into MMA wrestling. You know, we've seen people with all these accolades in wrestling, college wrestling, All-American, NCAA double champion, and they don't do as well in the UFC because there is a cage. It's such a big difference going into the UFC and mixing in MMA wrestling rather than just pure wrestling. And in this fight, I can see potentially Bo Nickal being pushed backwards and Ritter constantly being on the front foot, constantly going forward. This is something that Bo Nickal is not used to, and this fight is going to determine where Bo Nickal is at in the middleweight division, because if you beat Ritter, it's only up from there. You are going up against the elite in the middleweight division after this, and I'm not sure if Bo Nickal is going to be able to get past him. You know, I feel like on the ground, he was very reluctant to go on the ground with Paul Craig because of his submission game. Ritter has a amazing submission and grappling game as well. Not going to want to go to the ground with Ritter. He has great submissions off his back. He is able to be dangerous wherever the fight goes. And that's not really the same for Bo Nickal. And although Bo Nickal has great wrestling accolades, he hasn't found a way to mix it up in MMA to where the point he needs to be to face the top 15. In this fight, I can see Bo Nickal potentially getting outstruck on the feet. Ritter definitely has the capability to do so, and Nickal getting a little bit uncomfortable and shooting for a panic takedown. And if you panic takedown against Ritter and get him to the ground, that is his whole game. You're in his world at that point. And from this point, we've never seen Bo Nickal go up against a legit submission artist that he's engaged with on the ground. You know, I feel like Ritter is a little bit underrated when it comes to his submission game, when it comes to his just grappling in general. And Bo cannot go into this fight with the same game plan he had against Craig, because if he does that, Ritter is going to absolutely steamroll through him. Both fighters need to be on the more aggressive end. They both have to try and put each other on the back foot. The same goes for Paul Craig. You know, the same goes for Bo Nickal. His path of victory is to be the more aggressive guy, more aggressive than he has been in all of his UFC fights, and really put it onto Ritter. The same goes for Reinier, but I mean, he's always game. He's always pushing the pace forward, and ultimately, I can see Bo Nickal shooting for a takedown, potentially getting a little bit of ground and pound, but Reinier finding a submission off of his back, or just a submission in general, and ending the hype train of Bo Nickal. But that is going to be all I have for you guys in today's video. Let me know who you think will win in the Bo Nickal versus Reinier matchup and why.